Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Ricardo Camacho, Director of Regulatory Safety and Security Compliance at Parasoft. Today we're excited to present Test Smarter, Achieve Compliance Faster with Parasoft C, C++ Test 2025.1. I'm here with Miroslav Zelinsky, Director of Product Management for C, C++ Test. Mirek, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Mirek. And as always, it's always a pleasure to do these webinars with you. Anyways, our goal today is to show how our latest advancements directly benefit your software development workflows, helping you achieve more while actually simplifying your software testing and compliance efforts. But first, let's dive into the agenda. I'm going to start by introducing our key enhancements to the C, C++ Test 2025.1 release. A main enhancement is our full support for MISRA C 2025. One other enhancement is additional guidelines added in support of CWE for security. Then I'll cover a new capability included in the release where we automatically suppress equivalent coding rules found in standards like MISRA, CERT, and AUTOSAR C++14. I think you're going to really like that new capability because it offers quite an extensive cost savings in labor. Then I'll discuss a new AI assistant in the IDE that answers usability questions. This is our continued AI efforts in bringing you AI-powered productivity enhancements, which is really kind of cool. There are a few additional minor enhancements to mention, but I'm going to be passing it over to Mirek, where he's going to demonstrate the automatic suppression of equivalent rules and also our AI assistant. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Our latest release delivers complete support for MISRA C 2025, the newest version of this industry-leading standard. This means that organizations can enforce compliance confidently with no gaps in coverage. Safety critical industries like automotive and aerospace, medical, they all, rely on MISRA C to ensure code reliability and compliance. That's where C, C++ Test 2025.1 actually steps in. So you may be wondering what's new with MISRA C 2025. Well, it introduces 4 new rules. It deletes 2 rules, it modifies 13 existing rules, and it even clarifies how AI-generated code must be treated, which is actually to be held to the same strict standards as handwritten code. Now, the table that you see on the right shows the breakdown of guidelines. There are 22 total directives, 22 mandatory rules, 140 required rules, 38 advisory rules, and 1 disapplied rule. So the latest MISRA C standard now has a total of 224 guidelines. The release of the standard focuses on 3 critical pillars: predictability, security, and maintainability. Now on predictability, MISRA C 2025 enforces consistent code behavior to ensure predictability. So one example is making sure that code behaves the same across diverse compilers and platforms. Like, for example, when you shift right, some compilers may fill bits with 1s while others actually fill bits with 0. And this actually makes a big difference because in embedded systems, that unpredictability can lead to catastrophic failures. Now, on security, MISRA C 2025 takes direct aim at vulnerabilities tied to dynamic memory allocation, which is a common attack vector. And on maintainability, the 2025 standard mandates clearer code structure and documentation, like requiring unique include guard macros to prevent header collisions. So that's Directive 4.10 or 4.10. So together, these pillars make MISRA C 2025 an important upgrade for critical systems. Now, adopting MISRA C 2025 isn't just about having clean code. It's a strategic necessity for any team building safety critical systems. If your product must comply with ISO 26262, IEC 62304, DO 178C, or similar standards, MISRA C 2025 provides the foundational coding discipline that teams should actually strive for. So by enforcing MISRA rules through static analysis, you catch defects at the earliest possible stage, often before code even reaches testing. And it's not just about minor style fixes, it's about eliminating undefined behavior, memory leaks, and data race conditions, and really just all those flaws that could become catastrophic if they actually reach the field. And when your code base adheres to this industry standard, you will avoid costly rework cycles late in development, and you will accelerate time to certification by up to 30 to 50%, which we actually have case studies to show these real world cases. Now, another benefit is that MISRA C 2025 also prioritizes portability and compiler agnostic reliability. This means that there are guidelines to keep your code from being hostage to a specific toolchain or platform. And in safety critical domains, MISRA C 2025 is not optional. It's actually your first line of defense against systemic risks or vulnerabilities. Anyways, my friend and colleague Michał Rosenau is a contributing member to the MISRA C and C++ committees. He has delivered a great presentation on everything you need to know about MISRA C 2025. So I've placed a QR code, there as you can see it, for you to actually navigate to that webinar recording. I think you're going to find it very insightful and you're going to enjoy it. Now, this is where CC++ Test 2025.1 shines. Not only does it deliver full support for MISRA C 2025, but whether you're working with popular IDEs like Eclipse, VS Code, or Visual Studio, you can also integrate our static analysis into modern CI/CD pipelines using Parasoft's powerful command line interface, where compliance is kept consistent and automated and reliable as you progress through your workflow. Now, beyond performing code analysis, CC++ Test integrates with Parasoft's development testing platform. So DTP provides a centralized compliance hub and dashboard. It integrates results from your analysis runs and delivers rich interactive compliance reports tailored for MISRA C 2025. Teams gain instant visibility into guideline coverage, deviations, and risks hotspots, making it easy to demonstrate compliance to internal stakeholders and external auditors. So the key benefits are accurate enforcement of all MISRA C 2025 rules, seamless IDE and CLI-based workflows for both local development and automated pipelines, and centralized reporting and traceability through DTP with widgets and charts and drill downs, and you'll also see like trend analysis information. Also, audit-ready documentation and compliance evidence generation. We automatically generate the required reports needed to demonstrate compliance. So with Parasoft, you're getting an automated, fully complete, and powerful solution. With CC++ Test 2025.1, we have also expanded our static analysis coverage of CWEs by supporting 68 new CWE guidelines. And this significantly enhances or enables deeper, more precise security testing. So teams can now automatically detect a broader range of critical vulnerabilities. It ensures stronger protection from the start, because early detection of weaknesses helps organizations significantly improve software security and safeguard their critical assets. Now, this new functionality is very powerful. The 2025.1 release automatically detects and applies pre-existing suppressions for equivalent rules found in coding standards that are being applied or used in parallel. For example, if you're running MISRA and CERT in parallel, there are overlapping rules, and these rules have different IDs. For example, a rule suppressed for years under AutoSAR C++14 might suddenly resurface if MISRA C++ 2023 is applied to the project, because the rules are under different IDs and they're different standards. Now, this forces teams to manually have to resuppress the same issues. So you're going to be wasting time and you might be creating some compliance risks. So with CC++ Test 2025.1, we solved this. Our new enhancement automatically maps suppressions across equivalent rules. And we accomplished this by analyzing the rule semantics and matching checks for identical code flaws. So it's not just IDs. So when you switch to MISRA C++ 2023, say from AutoSAR C++14, suppressions are instantly reapplied to the corresponding MISRA violations. So there is no longer a manual process of having to do this. Also, feedback from our users have expressed team savings of 50 to 90%, and in some cases even more. Savings in effort by skipping this actual manual rework. So there's no more rebuilding suppressions, databases from scratch. Also, the second thing is that it accelerates transition. So if you're moving from one standard or enforcing multiple standards in parallel, this can be done in the matter of a few days. And it protects prior investments. So years of compliance work stays relevant. All that previous effort is not wasted. So in short, we have turned months-long migration headaches into an actual just one-click process. You're going to get to see this in action as Merrick will demonstrate this feature. Parasoft C++ Test 2025.1 now comes with a new AI-based documentation assistant. It acts as a ChatGPT-like companion for your Parasoft toolchain. This AI chatbot or intelligent assistant delivers contextual answers to questions like, how do I suppress a static analysis violation? Or how do I configure MISRA checks in CI/CD? It actually provides complete instructions and deep links right inside the IDE. For new team members, this means onboarding is accelerated by up to 3 times as expressed by some of our customers. For experienced developers, it eliminates many questions and interruptions from new team members. And for technical leaders, it translates to higher productivity and faster return on their investment. Also, this AI assistant makes our solution instantly accessible without a deep learning curve, as many of our competitors have actually quite a steep learning curve. So ROI skyrockets, there's less friction, there's higher productivity, it accelerates time to value, and that's the power of AI working for you. So this isn't just an upgrade, I see it as a productivity revolution, because when your developers win, your entire organization wins. Now, you're going to also see this in action. Merrick is going to demonstrate this cool feature. This new release also made fidelity improvements to other coding standards like MISRA C++ 2023, AutoSAR C++14, CERT C, JSF, MISRA 2004, MISRA C 2012 and 2023, High Integrity C++, and DISA ASD STIG. Much of this is customer driven because you, the users, adopt modern C++ language versions that have new language features. And this causes our development team to continuously improve the accuracy of the code analysis, thereby also eliminating many of those false alarms. And this translates into less time spent analyzing violations because static analysis, false alarms, even if there are a few, it forces engineers to investigate and take action, so it consumes time and effort. Now, these enhancements will also improve finding previously undetected problems, which will help you achieve a higher quality code base. And it makes our static analysis solution even more competitive, especially in support of modern C++ languages. And as we do for every release, because you often switch compilers or adopt new compilers, we are constantly adding new compiler support so that we run within as many embedded development environments as possible, and we're able to support all of your development targets and environments. So this release supports Intel's One API compiler 2022.2, GNU GCC 12, 13, 14, and the ARM32 architecture, the ARC32 basically. GNU GCC 14, x86, and 64, as well as ARC32 and ARC64, Clang 19, x86, and 64, and the ARC64 architecture as well. And finally, the Hexagon 19. Okay, so let's get to the exciting stuff. Mirek, I'm passing it over to you.
So I will discuss and demonstrate these two features, AI Documentation Assistant and automatic suppressions for equivalent violations. So let's quickly start with AI Documentation Assistant. So this AI Assistant comes with a dedicated view. You can find it in a Parasoft menu and in the show view menu option. And there is AI Assistant entry, which brings this view. I will discuss the configuration in a moment, but right now, just to make sure we all understand the value, let's try several different scenarios. Let's assume I'm a new user. I just installed C++ test. I'm not a great fan of browsing documentation, and I want to know how do I suppress static analysis violation. So I can simply type a question, and this question is now analyzed, and here is my response. And as you can see, I get a concise response, step by step, explaining me what are my options for suppressing static analysis violations, and then for each type of suppressions, I get instructions how to do it. There is a way to suppress violations using suppression files, and here it even gives me an example of the format, how the suppression entry looks like. There are suppressions in the source code, and it also gives me examples how to do it. There are suppressions with regular expressions. Not many users are familiar with it. And there are some test configuration settings to control suppressions. And at the end, we get the links to our documentation that provide more details. So let's try one more example. How do I generate unit test cases? And as you can see, again, we get step-by-step instructions that we need to go to test configurations. We need to select one of the built-in test configurations. We need to duplicate the configuration. And we have options explained that control the test cases generation. So for a new user, that's an excellent step-by-step guidance how to use a feature of a tool. And let's try maybe one more example, maybe something more complicated. These were two basic examples. What are the, say, CLI options for customizing reports. And in a minute, we'll get a beautiful list of options extracted from the documentation that will help us in customizing report. Again, in 20 seconds without browsing a documentation. So I think that's all I wanted to share regarding this feature. I will continue with the second feature, which is automatic suppressions of equivalent violations. So here I have a project, and with this project my team spent last 5 years trying to comply with AutoZAR coding standard. And if I run the static analysis with a configuration for AutoZAR coding guidelines, I expect no violations because, again, team invested a lot of effort to clean my code for any AutoZAR violations. But in addition to the legitimate code changes to comply with AutoZAR, also suppressions were created. As you can see, I have 0 violations and I have some number of suppressions. And these suppressions were implemented as in-code suppressions. So every violation was analyzed, legitimate violations were fixed, and unwanted violations were suppressed with a justification. So if we now generate a report, we will see all these suppressions for AutoZAR standard together with an explanation why given violation is suppressed. That's a huge time investment, reviewing these violations and suppressing them, analyzing why it's okay to suppress them. It's an effort and cost. And now, let's say that we have a decision to change our compliance policies and switch from AutoZAR to newer version of a standard to MISRA C++ 2023. So let's run now analysis on the project with our new standard, with MISRA C++ 2023. And now I see that I have tons of violations. And if I start analyzing these violations, well, I see that it looks familiar. MISRA is complaining about the problem that was already analyzed and was suppressed. And now I have potentially thousands of these kind of violations that were already analyzed and suppressed, and I need to invest this effort one more time and go through the process. Or I can use the new functionality. If you go to the test configuration, static analysis, there is a new option. Automatically suppress violations of equivalent rules. And with this option enabled, if we run this configuration, again, let's give it a second to finish. If we run this configuration, we have 0 violations found, and we have exactly the same number of violations that were suppressed. And if we generate report, we can now see, okay, let me do it this way. We can now see that we have the same suppressions now, correctly detected that AutoZAR suppression for a specific rule is equivalent to should be applied to a new violation of a MISRA rule because the underlying rules used for code analysis were identical and the problem is also identical. So all these suppressions for AutoZAR were reused, and I don't need to invest time now and go through this process again. Reports contain these special annotations automatically added. So in addition to the suppression reason taken from the suppression comment, this part of the message is automatically added to indicate that the suppression was automatically applied. This is to facilitate manual reviews, because for a compliance reasons, when someone needs to prepare a documentation for certification, we still recommend a review of these suppressions. And with these annotations, they are easy to find. So I think that's all I wanted to share regarding this feature.
So thanks, Mirek. That was a very clear and informative demo of our suppressions of equivalent rules and the AI document assistant. Now, if you want to learn more about C++ test, I've put some QR codes on the screen. The center one takes you to our C++ test product page. There, you're going to find lots of information, including links to a demo and even a virtual tour. Also, if you want a personalized demo of C++ test, please follow the QR code on the left, or when you visit our website, you can also request it there. And we have lots of educational content, including on-demand webinars. So I recommend following the QR code that you see there on the right. And feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, Parasoft Twitter, Facebook, and also if you have any questions after this webinar, you can always email us at info@parasoft.com. All right, I see that we have a few questions here. Let me see. The first one is, I'm going to hand it over to you, Mirek. The question is, how complicated is it to switch from MISRA C 2012 to MISRA C 2023?
Answer is, it depends. And it depends on your specific version of the MISRA C 2012. MISRA C 2012 was updated with, if memory serves me well, 4 amendments, and each of these amendments introduce a collection of new rules. So assuming that you're using MISRA C 2012 with the latest amendment 4, also known as MISRA C 2023, the delta comparing to MISRA C 2025 is relatively small. As Ricardo explained, there are only 4 new rules and just a handful of other changes. So the transition should be relatively easy. And of course, it's highly recommended. And if you didn't have a chance to apply MISRA C 2012 amendments to your development process, and you are still using the, say, core version of the standard, then the transition will probably require some attention. All these amendments probably introduce 30 plus different rules. So at minimum, the recommendation would be to analyze these rules and decide whether they apply to your compliance processes, and then also to track all the changes, because these amendments also introduce some changes to the existing rules, and see if there is any action required for those.
Okay. So I see one other question, I think, for you. I'm currently using C++ test 2024.1 for AutoSAR C++ 14, and I'm planning to switch to MISRA C++ 2023. Will these new features for suppressing violations of equivalent rules work for rules from 2024.1 version?
Yes. Obviously, you will need to upgrade to 25.1 because this is where this functionality is introduced. But the functionality understands all the changes in rule mappings that were introduced in the last 3 releases. So 24.1 is covered, and the suppression should be automatically applied.
Okay. Good. So we have one question. I think I can take it here. So is it possible to generate unit test specification also? So yeah, so when you do unit testing, we generate reports that show you pass, fail, and test cases and so forth. Along with DTP, there's a lot more documentation that you can actually generate. So it depends on what you're meaning by the test specification. But we do generate lots of reports. And Merrick, feel free to add anything if you want. Also, another question, can the AI assistant generate code fixes, or is it limited to documentation? Okay, yeah. So the AI assistant focuses on accelerating your workflows. So it only provides, instant answers to your tool questions, like what you saw in Merrick's demo. So there's no code generation. Now, that being said, our static analysis solution using VS Code Editor does come with an AI code generation feature. So the Gen AI agent will actually propose code fixes to help developers resolve identified code violations. And it's going to do it, faster and more efficient, and it's going to again do it directly within your VS Code editor. So this Gen AI feature also aligns perfectly with our full support of MISRA C 2025 and also other coding standards. It supports all of those. All right. We have another question for teams still on older compilers, um, like GCC 10. Will upgrading to 2025.1 disrupt our workflow? So the answer is no, not at all. So backwards compatibility is core to our design. So while 2025.1 adds support for new compilers like GCC 14 and Clang 19, it maintains full compatibility with legacy toolchains. So you will gain the new MISRA C 2025 checks, your CWE expansions, and the AI assistant without any migration overhead. And in fact, the auto suppression feature will actually streamline your future compiler transitions by preserving rule exceptions across your environments. Another questions. Will these new features require significant new training or infrastructure? So no, this release is designed to reduce both labor and effort. So features like the auto suppression can reduce rework effort by 50 to 90% or more, especially when adopting new standards. And the AI assistant significantly accelerates onboarding and training, cutting the time required by up to threefold. And our goal is to automate and simplify software testing for all of our users. So that's why we integrate seamlessly with your development IDEs, making our tool intuitive, or our solutions intuitive and easy to adopt. So we also support integrations into your CI pipeline, helping you streamline workflows, ensuring code quality, and minimize labor cost. So I think, let's see if we want to add any other questions here. Can equivalence classes be automated in new version 2025.1 as I am currently using 2022 version? So yeah, let me make sure I understand that. But yes, the equivalent classes, the automation of that is in our 2025.1 release. So you would have to move from your 2022 version to the 2025.1 version to take advantage of that. If you're a customer, visit the customer portal. Again, talk to your IT team, and you guys can upgrade to that. But it's very simple, very easy. So I don't see any other questions. Again, if you have any questions after this webinar, please send us an email at info@parasoft.com. Merrick, thank you very much. Fantastic demo, very clear and informative. And that's it, folks. Thank you for attending, and I look forward to seeing you guys or hearing from you guys at our next webinar, which we have one every month. All right. Cheers.
Thank you.